So you bought these super fun water slides and you have no gels and no sticky base. So how are you going to apply them with your dip powders and your dip liquids? What's up, nail crew? And welcome to my next video. This one, we are going to talk about how to apply water slides with just dip liquids. No Maniology sticky base, no gels, none of the things that I've used in my previous tutorials. I want to show you how to do it with straight dip liquids, dip base, clear powder, and dip top coat. So the very first thing that I'm doing is I'm going to do my mani, and I used Ritzy Dips Fresh and Daydream for my two colors. Daydream's the glitter, and it was a bit tougher of a glitter, chunky glitter to work with. So I decided I was only doing that on my middle finger and then doing like a half color block, half ombre on my pointer finger. And when you see me doing chunky glitters that are difficult to work with, you want to make sure that you pour it. I personally like to pour it into a cupcake liner. And I do this with all of my chunky glitters, whether they're hard to work with or easy to work with. You get a better application. You can see exactly where you're placing your glitters. And when you're pouring over, it just doesn't seem to catch the chunky glitters as well. So you can see that I laid my nail flat into the chunky glitter, and even on my pointer finger where I'm just doing like I called it a half ombre, half color block, I just very gently laid my finger on. Now, when I do the second dip of the chunky glitter, you can see the pieces are sticking up. They are kind of pushed out around my nail. So I'm very gently going through and pressing them down. And then this is my trick. And I showed it in one other tutorial I did. I went and very gently dabbed the activator all over and then held it down with a plastic baggie. Before I apply my water slide, I did 2 dips of Casper, which is a pure white from OG dip powder. Then these beautiful decals are from Decals by Melissa. With any water slides, you want to make sure that you cut out the design prior to soaking it in a little bowl of water for about 10 to 15 seconds until the decal separates from the backing that it's on. And then you want to put it on a dry piece of paper towel or a lint-free wipe to soak out most of the excess before setting it on your stamper for application. And I want to show everybody that it is possible to apply decals with just dip liquids. It is harder. It is absolutely harder to do than with Maniology sticky base or a gel base, but it is totally doable. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you're using a stamper like you do, like you can use for Maniology sticky base and for using a gel. So you paint the dip base on like you saw me do, and you want it to be tacky, not wet and not dry. So you have to really pay attention to how your dip base is working. Some dip bases dry really fast, some dip bases dry slower. So I had to continually gently touch the top of my finger to see when it was ready. And when you feel it being tacky but not soaking wet, that is when you want to go. Press that water slide onto your nail with the stamper. After I press the decal on with a stamper, I start very carefully with my fingers. I was pushing along the sides to try to smooth out the decal as much as possible. When you're using dip liquids to apply water slides, unfortunately, I have found that your decals do end up being a little bit more wrinkly than they do with, say, Maniology sticky base or gels. I have just not been able to work quickly enough because the decal applies, when you're doing especially full cover decals, it just applies and sticks down there so nicely that you end up with the little crinkles in your water slide. Then I took nail tweezers and went right around my cuticle and took off any of the excess water slide that was sticking up over my cuticle. And also I went in with pure acetone on an angled eyeshadow brush. That kind of helps loosen up the decal around your cuticle and around the sides. Then the last thing I do is I go in with a buffing block and very carefully buff along the sides of your nail to remove any of the decal hanging over the edges of your nails. And then you cover your entire decal, your entire nail, with a really good layer of clear dip powder. And you want to make sure when you're capping your edges with your dip base that you really get on those sides so that the powder can totally encapsulate over the decal. And then you can go through and you activate and file and shape, buff, and finish your mani like normal. And I like to use the Pana Extra Fine drill bit to go around my cuticles, and this way it just crisps up the decal so that the cuticle line is nice and smooth before I apply top coat. And then I can go through and apply top coat like normal, and here's my finished mani. I hope you guys found this tutorial helpful, and check out these next videos on applying decals. Thanks for joining me today, nail crew.